I'm on there.
What?
I'm on. Oh, there it is. I don't hear any sound. Oh. It's not.
Meeting in 2 minutes. And just so everyone knows, we are live streaming right now. And yes.
I could hide myself.
Hmm?
I could hide myself. I'll just leave myself.
Are you muted?
We're at the beginning if we just look at it 3 years ago. We've only had one pretty good hot mic. On board meeting. So. No, we're recording, so I'm not gonna say it, 'cause, you know, yeah, myself in trouble. Yeah. we would. Are you going to DC next week? I'm not. You're not, okay, gotcha. There's a large emergency responder. Children. Options. Pre-COVID, it was fine. Yeah, and I'm gonna go down as well. Yeah.
Everybody.
They do a lot of like music. Yeah, so I'm gonna go down next week.
And get started.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to open the July 20th, 2023 New Paltz Town Board meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And announcements. We have the walkout on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Is that for Officer Bunce? People want to attend. That's the only announcement I have. Any others? Not. I'd like to open the floor for public comment. If anyone has anything here, you can sign up. If you're online, you can raise your Zoom hand. And
Me. Let's see,
please go ahead.
trying.
Yes, Deborah Goldman, please. You're on mute.
I have a question about the new ADU law that is awaiting some approvals, and I just wanted to find out where it's at.
We are, it's on tonight's agenda. We're going to discussing it with Stacy, who helped write the law. We're going to be going over the comments that we received from the town planning board and the county. And then the board will have to either approve or reject their suggestions. And then, if we're making any significant changes to the law, would have to kind of go back and keep the public hearing open, but otherwise, I think we'd be ready to move forward on it.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't need to go like to any other, like to the state or anything after, it's just now within the purview of the town board? Great. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
Kitty, you have a comment?
Hi, am I muted or am I live?
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Hear you.
Okay, so thank you for updating the town accessory dwelling unit law. Certainly one of the most important tools available to help residents stay in their homes while creating new rentals that will ease the housing crisis in our town. Reading the comments from the county and town planning boards, as well as from Stacy, helped me identify some questions. 30 days should be the minimum rental term so as not to create short-term rentals, which is something that you have proposed in the original law, and I think should stay that way. Owner occupied should mean exactly that. The residence is occupied by the owner for the 9 months out of every year that you recommend. Many of these new dwellings may be built in basements where radon levels are often highest. According to the New York State Department of Health, 139 basements in New Paltz tested over the recommended safety limits of 4 picocuries. Would you consider adding a requirement that radon tests be performed for ADUs that will be located in basements? Since these dwelling units will no longer go through the planning board, do you think neighbors should be notified under our neighborhood notification policy? As new families move into the main part of the house, how will the need for more recreational opportunities be met? Is the recreation fee per unit waived or required? Maybe it should be waived if the new tenant is a family member. Should the law address the use of gas, oil, and propane appliances and systems as we try to meet our climate smart task force goals of reducing fossil fuel emissions? I didn't see any comments from the ENCB. Not sure if they didn't have any or if you didn't reach out to them. Other than that, thank you for looking at this law again, and I look forward to listening to your discussion.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments? Not. We'll move on and I'd like to, we don't have a quorum if Dan leaves, but we don't need a quorum to vote on anything yet. Anyway, just to interview Martin.
Yeah, I was
We
just
want to
gonna,
wait and see if, wait till.
Essie's on her way, so why don't we move it? And then for the record, I was just gonna excuse myself for the interview. No offense, Marty, just
So if we wait a little
Don't
bit,
want
Marty,
to,
Essie gets here, so she has an opportunity to.
I need to interview the
as well.
person leaving me and influence you all on that. I'll figure that out on your own.
How about, you guys want to do your presentation now?
I'm just gonna introduce Rich. You all, everybody knows me, obviously. This is Rich McNamee, he's my assistant chief. He's gonna go over some stats with you guys. And I want to address them.
Okay.
Heather, just going into Chief Goodnow, statements, wanted to go over, where we've been sort of last few years and just how busy Rescue's been this year. So year to date, since January, we've done, over 1,500 calls, which is the most in our history.
How many? Sorry, I didn't get that.
1,526. And a huge part of that now is mutual aid, because as I would hope you guys are somewhat aware, is EMS in the county, the state, the country is in crisis. And the towns around us have either very poor or no reliable ambulance service. So where we were doing about 5% mutual aid back in 2019, well, that's gone up to 20 to 30% now, which is astronomical. And we do our best. And our goal is that the last truck doesn't leave New Paltz. There's an algorithm that the crews have to follow. And despite the huge amount of mutual aid we do to Schwangdong, Plattekill, Gardner, even Lloyd now, Rosendale, we still are managing to cover 98.9% of calls in the town of New Paltz, which we're very proud of. And even if we didn't do mutual aid, we couldn't guarantee 100%. It's just and I'm gonna give you guys copies of these afterwards. Just goes in detail where we've been going back into the pandemic, which was tremendously difficult for us as the people were terrified of going to the hospital, so they just didn't fall out one. And because upwards of 80% of our budget is based directly from patient billing and very little bit comes from other sources, it was a huge burden on us. And as many industries saw throughout the pandemic, wages have gone up. That plus inflation, buyouts of other ambulance companies have seen their wages grow considerably, and we are at a point, unfortunately, where we aren't really able to pay competitively any longer. So that's about where I am. I'll let Chief Goodnow go from there. There was 4 of you. I'll give you 4 copies.
So for 6 years now, been chief, and I've been appealing to you guys for an increase. I left 100,000 on the table before COVID. Came to you this year, last year, and said, look, I need 300,000. I'm back one last time, and I officially have to be the bad guy. You guys aren't stepping up and doing your part. We have for 6 years. We burned through $600,000 of our reserves during COVID to keep us here, to keep us going. We're now about 150,000 in the bank in reserves. I have ambulances that need to be replaced. I have raises that need to be made. I have equipment, life-saving equipment that saves your family's lives. That's gonna need to be replaced. I don't have anything to do. And now on top of that, I have towns approaching me, knowing that we're the best around, asking us to cover their town for more money than our hometown was giving us for less coverage. Something's gotta change. We have to go into January with an increased contract, or we're gonna have to leave the town of New Paltz. And when I have towns very close to here that are paying $385,000 a year for half of what we provide New Paltz, it makes it hard not to even consider it. We're not doing our financial responsibility to our not-for-profit without putting that on the table. That would never come across my table had the increase happen this year, or we could guarantee there's gonna be an increase in January. We cannot carry the burden anymore. And it's bad enough that I have to consider now, if you guys can't give me something in good faith tonight, or more than we've had, you know, last I knew we were looking into the ambulance district. I don't know if there's been any progress on that, but even if there has, that won't take effect until 2025. Because that application has to be in before April of 2024, before we can even directly address the taxpayers ourselves. So until then, we still have to come through you, and you have to address the taxpayers. We're doing our part above and beyond. There's not an ambulance company in this county, probably in this region, covering the percentage of calls we're covering. That's why everybody looks to us. And we're killing ourselves to do it. I made sure people came tonight so you can see the faces of the people that are doing this job every day, underpaid, under-equipped. And we're still doing it. That there's not a person around that knows anything about an ambulance that doesn't look to us to be the top of the line. And I need to know from you guys that we have more dedication from you than we have been having, and a plan how we're going to turn this tide come January, because we're at the end of the rope. You know, I have a deficit budget this year. It started with 500 grand. I killed myself. My boards killed themselves, and we're down to about 150,000. But we did all that. You guys haven't done anything for us. Alex came out, looked at our books, saw, she said, yeah, you're right, you gotta fundraise, we're working on that, but fundraising is not the answer to providing high quality emergency medical services, right? And I've said this a million times, and Rob's here, and he knows I mean this from the bottom of my heart. No disrespect to my other services in town, but we're the redheaded stepchild. We're talking multi-million dollar budget for police, almost $1 million for fire. And we get less than $300,000 a year. Granted, they don't get the bill for their service. But even if you took that out of the picture, we're upside down by about $5 million. And we're doing it. So we need the support so we can keep doing it, or I have to take a legitimate consideration to people that are approaching me and offering us to expand our territory in areas that we would never even think about. Because if we don't, I'm gonna be the chief that the New Paltz Rescue Squad falls under. And that's not acceptable. Did I miss anything? Just 11 calls just today. So yeah, I mean, just today alone, since midnight, we've done 11 calls. And these are 15-minute calls. You know, you're talking, if we transport that patient, it's probably a minimum of an hour, 15 minutes. If there's no major problems, right? Everything goes well, we're out an hour and 15 minutes for every one of those calls. That's 2 crews, you know, and our contract that we have now that we've been stringing along this year, hoping that we could figure something out. It doesn't even say that I have to give you a minimum of anything. But for years, we've been doing it, right? It says have an ambulance, it's very broad. And I will not let the town of New Paltz go without an ambulance in the town. So even when there's somebody, a town over that is in crisis, we're staying here because our obligation's here, but we don't even have to, I could send that ambulance. And it's come to the point where I've had to consider the fact that we're turning down 30 calls a month on average right now. Yeah, about a call a day to mutual aid. That 60% of the time is going to be a transport to the hospital that will allow us to build for revenue to help us with that problem. To make sure we're here because our goal is to take care of New Paltz first. And I gotta tell you, it feels like New Paltz doesn't take care of us. So I come as my last appeal. If we can't make progress, then I am gonna start sending the last ambulance because I gotta make sure these guys can have a living wage, replace equipment. And I can't do any of that stuff now. And it's just getting worse. When Empress bought out Mobile Life, I don't know, how long ago, guys? 2 months ago? 2 months ago, the Mobile Life staff got how big of a raise, guys? $10 an hour. We were already barely in line with Mobile Life. So now, these people are loyal. These people will bleed for you guys. Walk into a burning building, walk into a gunshot situation, no questions asked. And they're not making what anybody else in the industry is making. Because we're at New Paltz. Well, it's New Paltz. We have nice stuff. We have a nice station. That's not fair. And it's not fair that we don't feel supported from you guys. And I'm sorry it's come to this. I've tried over and over again doing the, you know, we gotta work on this, we gotta work on this, what can we do? And can't do it anymore. I have obligation to my board of directors, to our mission statement, that I gotta either have more money from you guys or consider other avenues. And the last thing I want to see is the New Paltz Rescue Squad providing service to a primary town that is not New Paltz, but that is legitimately on the table as we speak. And I believe you're probably, if you haven't already had a phone call, you're gonna get the phone call from the supervisor telling you you can't. And that's just the beginning of it, because with this buyout, Empress is 100% a pay-to-play player. And I have Empress staff in the room that could tell you that they are gonna come to the table, as if you talk to Rosendale, you'll hear. And say, we understand Mobile Life had a handshake deal. However, effective January 1st is $1 million contract. If you can't do that, then you're not gonna get an ambulance unless it just happens to be one available in a town nearby. For one ambulance. You guys get 2 paramedic level ambulances. Marbletown, they now have a BLS 24. They're getting over $400,000 for that. And they only do 800 calls a year, roughly. I've said for years, you guys got the best deal around. And well, I think that you can still have the best deal around, you gotta change something. Or unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to continue. And I encourage you to get quotes from the other ambulance companies. We all know that it'll put us out of business if you go with somebody else. But I encourage you to do it because what's gonna happen is you're gonna come back to me and say, holy cow. You know. Because you're talking for the service you guys get, well over $1 million a year. from any commercial provider. And we're doing it for Border. So I think that's, if you have any questions, I'll give you the stats. Our stats haven't changed. It's been 98.9, 99% response for a decade. And that's with us adding, increasing staff, lack of volunteers, all those things. We've met the challenge. And need you guys to meet the challenge. So I don't know what you have to do, but something. That's it.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation.
I would say we do appreciate you and we know what we're getting, right? And we are gonna put more money in the budget this year, right? I'm happy to sit down with you and talk about it and can try to make something work, but you know, this year we had a lot of other things going on with negotiations. But you know, we appreciate you guys stepping up, but it's a priority for us to do whatever it takes to keep you guys here.
Thank you.
So I
Thank you
appreciate
for
the-
everything you guys do. We really
appreciate
appreciate it.
your coming here and making sure everyone is aware in town of what we have to do. Because that makes it easier for us to do. the
No,
right thing.
and it, again, taxpayers need to know, they've got the best deal around. You know, if you look at your, I mean, you can't break us down per household because we don't have it that way, but if you do the numbers. You know, comparative to other towns, comparative to fire tax or any of those things, we're pennies on the dollar to everybody else. And arguably, we do just as much work, if not more, right? And you need us all. We're not essential, but we're all essential, right? You need us all. We can't do what we do without these guys, and they can't do what they do without us, and vice versa. So the taxpayers need to know that they have a heck of a deal, and that if you guys have to increase taxes to keep it going, it is what it is. I mean, they should move out of New Paltz and see how it is to wait. Our average response time is what now?
In the town, it's 5 minutes.
I mean, where else are you gonna find that? And I think it's overall still less than 10, and that's grouping in responses to Mohawk or other towns. I mean, we have a 30-minute rule, right? I've been clear with you guys all along about my mutual aid. 30 minutes is my rule. We can't comfortably respond to somewhere 30 minutes from here and provide care. So if somebody calls us from the far corner of Pine Bush, we turn that call down. But even with us picking up 28-minute, 24-minute, 26-minute responses to other towns, we're still maintaining less than 10-minute response because that's how quick we are when it comes to new ones. Obviously, you can be that person that says, well, obviously got more than 5. Yes, we do. But we still get out that door in less than 2 minutes. And there's an ambulance at your door in the town of New Paltz. Less than 5 minutes, for sure, less than 10. And you're not gonna get that anywhere else. Anybody, all you gotta do is turn on scanner. And listen to this agency 5th dispatch, this agency 3rd dispatch. I mean, our officers can attest to what happens if we're not here. And they gotta wait for who knows to come. We're lucky we have decent backup right now, but that, I'm telling you, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse before it gets better with this big buyout. And the commercial approach to EMS. I don't think it's wrong, by the way. I think they're right. It should be $1 million to provide an ALS ambulance. That allows living wages, replacement of ambulance, it's all that stuff that a small amount of pops can't do is effectively. What I think is wrong is the approach of expecting towns to do it overnight. But that's what we're gonna face in the next couple of years. As these towns that aren't getting service or are getting a little service are gonna be forced to face increases of hundreds of thousands to millions to provide their people with coverage.
I just have one quick question. How often during the day, like how many percentage of calls during the day are within that 30-minute, like outside of New Paltz on average? So you have, like you just got 11, but like
I think you have your calls outside of the town.
outside of the town,
Between 20 and 30%.
20 or 30%, you guys go out
Yeah.
to like Rosen.
And again, as I said in the past,
Mhm.
we're obviously doing that because our mission is to help people, right? We're
Right.
here to help,
Oh, yeah.
right? But we did less of it in the past, not only because we were called less, but we would have turned away less before. Because we could comfortably say, it's okay, we'll stay here, you know, we can still pay the bills.
Right.
But I have to do more of that in order to pay the bills.
But you're
So
doing that because the people in those towns,
they're not answering,
they're not answering,
correct?
so they're not
Yeah,
getting.
it's either the volunteer agencies in those towns are not answering, or the commercial services that they're relying on are declining to respond. Which is very frequent and it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Right.
We on the dispatch order for any town other than New Paltz, we can't be first. So if it's say, I'll use Gardner because as you know, I can pick up Gardner. In Gardner, it's Gardner ambulance, and then if it's an ALS call, advanced life support needs paramedic, mobile life support. If mobile life support turns down that call, there's a list of agencies that they can go through before they get to us because we don't have a CON. Even though the dispatchers know that we're the ones that are gonna end up going, they have to call Empress, Northern Duchess, M-Star Ambulance, 4 or 5 different agencies, they're all turning it down because there's a crisis. And then we end up going eventually anyway. So that 20 to 30% of the time, those calls are calls that have already gone through all the other options. And that's what that means for us. So if we need them here, they're not coming.
Specifically Gardner, even though they're prohibited from being the first to call, we still went there 127 times. That's 127 times that their actual paramedic provider chose not to respond. It's obscene.
Yeah.
I would just say for my day job, speak with a lot of municipal leaders in Ulster, Dutchess and Orange. And it's actually been a super eye-opening experience just because I'm very New Paltz focused on these kinds of municipal issues, but it's been interesting realizing that I actually think, to a credit to you all, we have one of, if not the best services and response times and even just longevity of the organization where there's
This is our
significant,
50th year.
sorry, what?
This is our 50th year.
Yeah, there's significant stress and I would say a likelihood in a number of some of the rural communities, specifically in Orange, parts of Dutchess, where like, I don't even. You could probably go like half an hour plus without getting anyone, and I think it's only getting worse and they're having very different conversations than we're having tonight.
In the
with
last
what's going on.
2 years, I would say
Yeah.
there's a lot of towns that have started really looking at it. I've seen
Yeah.
ambulance districts pop up where there weren't before, Montgomery, Cooper,
Yeah.
have both done that. And what you're gonna see is they're gonna start taking pieces off the board. They're gonna start hiring paramedics, hiring EMTs who would have worked for a commercial before.
Yeah.
And would have covered a large area, and now they're only gonna cover that. So the safety net that we've been relying on for years, mobile life, whomever, it's not going to be there. It's gonna get just more and more holes. And it's gonna create problems for us hiring as well. It's already hard when we're behind the 8 ball on better wages. But the pool, as shallow as it is, it's gonna just dry up entirely as these other towns around us identify the issue, hire their own and take what few paramedics, BMT there are off board for us.
I have a secret thought / hope that at some point, looking down the road. When the county or the state, I think inevitably will have to step
And
in.
I can tell you, I'm on a
Yeah.
task force in the county.
Yeah,
And there is progress being made. You know, but as we know, with any government thing, it's gonna be a while and.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, I think they've figured out that what they need to do is. Invest into places that are in place instead of reinventing the wheel.
and you beat me to the punch, which is what I was gonna say, is I think that when inevitable, I do think that will happen.
Yeah.
But I think that we are at a significant strategic advantage when it comes to that because of the infrastructure and the work commitment you guys have put in. That I think we will end up potentially being that kind of regional hub as well.
We don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
We just need to,
Yeah.
shore it up.
Right. Right.
Yeah, we're celebrating our 50th anniversary. We wanna be here another 50. That's
And I think everyone in town agrees with me. So we're gonna do what it takes.
Thank you.
Have you had discussions about the ambulance district, or is that a serious consideration for the board?
I mean, I put you in touch with some people before. I think, we're open to any way to solve this problem and make sure that we keep New Paltz rescue. Right, and whether it's an ambulance district or we work on a better way to come up with a contract that is mutually acceptable. That's another way to do it as well. There's upsides and downsides of the district.
Correct.
And with the changes, the county, we talk about this at the supervisor meeting a lot. The county, I think, is gonna be coming out with their report in the next month or so, right? We'll see what it says, you know, you probably know a lot more about this than I do. But, you know, the goal, I think, for us is to make sure that you guys stay here and we figure out a way to make it work. And we're open to all possibilities. You know, we're not willing to give up 50 years for, you know, something that can be solved. So we'll make it work.
Any of you who desire to or invited to come ride sometime. You can come and observe and see what we do.
It's pretty amazing, I gotta say, I was blown away. You guys did a great job.
You know, Friday or Saturday night, the first weekend, students are back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll talk.
Okay.
Right, and thanks for coming, I appreciate it,
Yeah.
and it's good to let
I
everyone
appreciate you
know.
hearing me out.
Mhm.
Well, I don't think people realize what a crisis this is on a county and statewide level,
It's a national, it really is a national crisis.
you know, and so, you know, like Dan said, we've been lucky. And, you know, thank you for the reminder that we should not take you for granted.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Marty, you want to come up and join us
Sure, you wish me well.
wherever you want?
Closer to the crowd.
So I mean, you can introduce yourself and you know, just so everyone's aware, Dan Torres is stepping down from the town, from his position on the town board because of work commitments. And so the board needs to appoint his replacement. And so we made an announcement, I think probably in May or June. And we're interviewing people that have said they're interested in being appointed. And so thank you for coming, Marty Berwin. I'll let you introduce yourself to people online and everyone on here.
Sure. Marty Irwin, I live on Jansen Road. I've lived there for 20 years, been in New Paltz for 21 years with my girlfriend, Terry Moore. Been active in the town government in a number of different ways, including on the Clean Water Open Space Protection Commission, which I was on from 2009 until I was appointed to the board to fill another vacancy in 2015, and then served for 4 years after being elected. I'm active with the Walker Valley Land Trust, where I'm on the board and the vice president presently and chair of our conservation committee. And we'll do whatever it takes to make things happen. We were planting an interpretive sign this morning down by the Gardner Library's pollinator garden on the rail trail, looking at the garden, so you interpret what you're seeing. I just like being in New Paltz. Moved here to enjoy the opportunities that you have with outdoor recreation. Arthritis causes me to use an e-bike instead of a typical mountain bike, but I still get out.
Well, they say they're healthier than regular bikes because you ride more frequently.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's what the studies have shown.
Power of numbers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so, yeah.
And my background, if you want to go back further, I was trained, got a bachelor's degree in math and psychology, taught high school math for a year. I went to graduate school at NYU and University Administration, and then went to Alaska, where I was assistant dean of students and instructor of math for Alaska Methodist University, which is now part of the university system. Decided I wanted to be a little closer to family, came back east, went to Vermont. Was personnel director for the Vermont Department of Health, and then wage and salary administrator for the state employment system. And then with friends, we decided we wanted to build houses. How do you go from one to the other? Which we just did. We went to Virginia and built houses, and I did that for a long time. As houses under contract, I designed houses and built them for myself and on spec. And then had an opportunity to come back up here and work for a Manhattan developer. My assignment was office buildings in the city of Newburgh. And then I went on and did development in Newburgh on my own, affordable family housing, which I didn't enjoy. It's a focus on seniors, affordable seniors housing. Because the seniors, their drugs are prescription and the music's loud because they can't hear. And that was a good story for people to listen to. And did that until I retired, and Terry and I moved here in 2002.
I didn't know, I mean, Marty, even though we served on the board together, I enjoy hearing us. I didn't know all of that,
background.
all that background, so
Get the CV.
Well, with that opportunity, my goal wasn't to get wealthy. My
Mhm.
goal was to enjoy life and have a good time and do things I wanted to do, and that's what I did.
Yeah. So why do you want to come back and be involved?
I think that there's opportunity to bring somebody on who already knows the procedures and pretty much understands the policies within the town of New Paltz. I have a relationship with a good relationship with a lot of the staff
Mhm.
and department heads. I know one of them has left. That's a disappointment to me, but so I think I bring that. I've got energy. Just fit in immediately. I don't need to go through training in Albany to be up to speed.
Marty was good with the budget, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I'm fiscally conservative.
Fair. Yeah.
Probably the only thing that I've been outsider on with some of the budget items. I think I might have voted against one.
Well, you were very helpful with everything you did on the board, so.
Thank you.
And I enjoyed working with you, so even
Well,
though
it's
we
been
didn't always agree on everything, but I have to say,
That was good, exactly.
I have no problems.
Come up with better answers when you disagree.
Well, you have to do that.
Yeah.
If everybody's thinking exactly the same way, you don't get any dialogue, you don't get any new ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I know more idea and you followed kind of what you did, so I don't really have any questions.
Yeah, I mean,
I just was curious.
having served together, I don't have a
Yeah.
lot, but also, we're gonna be, we have a few more people to interview. And we'll be making the appointment, I think, at the end of August,
Right, and then-
when Dan's leaving at the end of August, so, yeah, we're running out of time. So, I appreciate your willingness to step up.
Great, thanks for
Appreciate you
coming.
considering me.
Yeah,
Thanks.
interesting hearing your history. Never knew you built houses.
Yeah, it's a useful background.
It is a very useful
I
background.
did the physically and then as more on the developer side.
It's just having a business background, I think is really important to understand fiscal
Mhm.
matters.
Helps,
It
yeah.
helps. Mhm.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And Dan should come, and Dan will be back in a minute. We can, Stacy, if you want to come on up, we can have a discussion about the ADU.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm essentially doing this outside of the house, it's a separate limits. Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
I realize it didn't go in this. I didn't.
But I do have so would you be allowed to put an ADU in the basement?
That was like my question.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and would they have to have do a radon test?
It's not a required part of state code at this time.
Okay,
But isn't that required for a house?
No.
Is that a
People
radon?
will do them
Yeah.
in the process of buying a home,
Right.
because it can be a problem.
Mhm.
We do recommend in areas where there's a lot of shale, people building on rock, we recommend they at least put in the subsurface, tubing for radon systems, should they find a need, because that's where you tend to see
yeah.
it more,
Right.
comes up through the rock,
Right.
Yeah.
but it's not a requirement. So if you were to do something like that, and,
Mhm.
well,
You require radar, just to the barn.
if, there aren't any. I don't know. And unless you have a system,
Right.
a system will have an alarm on it. But unless you have a system, it's not like carbon monoxide or,
It has to be linked to the system.
yeah, it would have to be linked.
The system. Right.
Right, so. It may be more of a health issue, it's something, if you're
Yeah.
considering it, we can look at it to see if it falls under health and not building. Because if it falls under state codes,
Yeah,
then you've got to
the
get
Department of Health would
approval,
have,
but then you have to get approval for stricter.
Yeah.
Code through Department of State,
oh, okay, yeah, makes it all more complicated.
yeah.
So I don't know if people had a chance to read, I don't know if you wanted to start, but we have the comments from the town planning board and the county planning board. I don't know if you want to go through them? People have questions about them?
Let's start with the counties.
Okay,
I did a double look at that. I had sent you my comments.
Yes.
I did a double look at that and I did find something interesting. The county actually picked something up, which was really good. So their first comment. Okay, in regards to parking requirements.
Yeah.
I totally disagree. That will work in a village, it will work in a city setting, but in a setting like the town. You can't eliminate parking requirements. People can't park on the street. They can't park on the street in the winter time. It just doesn't work for us. If, currently parking is not permitted in any required yards. And nor should it be, but if you wanted to loosen those requirements a little bit, you could allow parking
and
in the required setback. So on a conforming lot, a 1 acre in a 1 acre zone, a 1.5 acre in a 1.5 acre zone. Okay.
well, only for the ADUs, not just for, everything, right? Or,
Well, I mean, we'd have to really parse that out and see what that would look like. I mean, we might be able to come up with something like that, to give them a little bit more room. But they still have to meet the density requirements anyway, which is 35%. So even on your non-conforming lots, even though the setbacks are reduced to 8 and 25, we give them that, they still have to meet the 35% density requirement.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think that we should eliminate that requirement.
okay,
Okay, in regards to their comment for, the housing smart communities, okay, that is really, a discussion for the board to have. I just don't know how you would enforce it.
yeah, so this was a suggestion that, and I think I sent this around to the board. There's been a bunch of research that's shown that if you're limiting who the people can rent to, it actually reduces the number of accessory dwelling units that are built. Because there's less incentive for them to do. And the other thing is, I talked to the other supervisors, even the city of Kingston, this was not required of them, and they just did their law maybe a month or two ago. And so, my kind of, and in Gardner, currently there's on the state, in the state code, if you're renting to like a parent or a senior, you can get a tax break. So we could do that. But I also then looked at that law and, we could give people a tax break, but it would be like up to, a very small amount, but only for a limited number of years. So I talked to Senator Hinchey and I asked if they could update the state's law that right now, the law that allows you to get a tax break for your parents. If they could do the same sort of thing, if you were willing to rent to someone who had a like 80% median income. So, and they're interested in doing that.
That was something I was.
And so, we would be working with them, but it would be statewide, so it would also, it wouldn't just be New Paltz, any town could do this, and then people could make the decision
Mhm.
to like, okay, well, if I want to rent to someone who has a, more of a financial need, they would get a tax break, and it would lower their costs, and that way the burden would be spread out on everyone in the town and not just on the person who's building the house.
Right.
So I think that's, for me, that would be a more sustainable way to do it.
Mhm.
But I think in the short term, after we do this law, we could pass the law that would allow people to rent to their parents or
Mhm.
guardians or something, and they would be able to get a tax break.
Mhm.
And that would solve some of the problems for affordability. But then they would also get to decide who they're renting to.
Right.
So I'm nervous about telling people how much they can charge and who they can rent to,
Mhm.
unless they're getting some sort of incentive to do that
Mhm.
versus, us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that should be their decision.
And like Stacy said, it would be hard for us to enforce that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would be very difficult. And I like the idea of having it, urging the state to be part of that decision. I think it's really good. I don't know, if writing letters or supporting them in any way that helps.
Well, Senator Hinch's office was pretty receptive to this. I sent it to them, we're gonna have some meetings, so hopefully it moves forward.
Yeah.
And this is something that, we can, it will increase the likelihood of affordable units being built all over the place, because everyone's building these ADUs. So,
I think we should try to incentivize it as much as we possibly can. I think it's a great thing for it. Mhm.
And in regards to their last comment and the hard modifications on the minimum lot size, when I read it, I don't have any issues with what they're saying, okay, if the board wants to go that route. However, when I re-looked at the way it was written in the law and went back to our town code, now I understand why they're saying it, because in the way the law is written, the intent was to allow people with non-conforming lots of record to have or to build,
Mhm.
okay, an accessory dwelling unit with the reduced setbacks, the 25 and 8, just like if you were putting a shed up in your yard, or another accessory building. That was the intent. But when I went back and I looked at it, it says as specified in 14047B3A and B of this chapter, which is where the language lies for your reduced setbacks, but number 4 is where the caveat is. It says 14347. Just moved on, I'm sorry. In number 4 of B says in any district where residences are permitted, such non-conforming lots may be used for not more than one single family dwelling, which knocks out an ADU.
Oh, okay.
So the intent was to allow the ADU with the reduced setbacks. Okay, but the way this is written under H,
Okay, so we would have to change that to make sure they're allowed.
well, we would have to eliminate 14047 B3. B4,
Mhm.
okay, we would have to make
Okay,
that exception.
Mhm.
So that either that or they would automatically have to go to the planning board, which is a little bit in conflict with
yeah, the
Mhm.
goals.
the goals and a little bit in conflict with
Yeah.
what we're sending to the. Because the building inspector always has the right to send it to, under this, has the right to send it to the planning board. For a non-conforming lot, so, we might want to make that change.
No, I think we would.
I think we.
I
yes.
think we make that.
And I think that would satisfy the county's,
Oh, okay, good.
I think that would satisfy the county's recommendations.
Because it complex of what it says on the town.
Yes, because that one number, just throw them out, and they're saying,
Mhm.
well, don't throw it out, let them do it, but send them to the planning board.
Okay,
So that's basically what the county was, saying.
yeah, but can we kind of throw it out so they don't have to go to the planning board? Or do we want? them
Yes,
to
we
go-
would just,
Yeah.
we would just
just
amend,
Yeah.
we would amend section,
Yes, okay,
Because one. you don't
for
want
your
people to keep on
minutes.
coming back to-
proposed section 140-17-3H.
Mhm.
Okay, we would amend that to exclude item number 4 under section B of 140-47. So this way, you'll get, that'll come up in the minutes. And if Rosanna has a question, she'll.
okay.
So, other than that.
So,
that's
so
where
we're
I stand
saying
on
for
account.
the county's 3 comments, we're rejecting the first 2.
That's my recommendation.
And then altering
And altering
the
the
third.
I would
code,
amend,
amending it so
proposal.
it meets their suggestions.
And just so I understand, a rejection requires a supermajority.
Yes.
Yes.
Given that we do not have a quorum, want to understand those dynamics.
Well, I think all 4 of us would have to vote for that.
Okay. Because you're right, because that would still constitute, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
so
either way,
Yeah.
if all 4, we could wait on make these changes and then vote on,
Mhm.
after
no,
these
those
changes.
that makes a ton of sense. Yes.
But if all 4 of us agree on those things, we could vote and move those things forward today.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with these. They make sense to me.
Yeah.
As Stacy described them.
So the
Mhm.
motion to reject the first 2 and modify the code, so the third one
Mhm.
is not an issue anymore.
Mhm.
So they would not have an issue, right? We will eliminate that 1447 B3, B4.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, good. And so the town planning board comments,
Mhm.
some of those I had those here. I have a question about some of those. I don't know if you want to go through those. The first one is they're worried about the Department of Health. Because we didn't list the Department of Health in here as being them needing approval from the Department of Health for the septic,
Mhm.
but they can't do it without the Department of Health. And so we're just kind of re-saying the same thing. We're saying, well, you need Department of Health approval, but we don't even need to write that down because they can't do this without Department of Health approval.
Well,
Is that right?
yes and no.
Okay.
So if you have a legal 5-bedroom house. And you decide you want to make an accessory dwelling. Unit, you have 5 bedrooms on the first floor and you want to make an accessory dwelling unit on the second floor. And you eliminate 2 bedrooms on the first floor, so the first floor is now 3 bedrooms.
Mhm.
You can relocate those 2 bedrooms downstairs without needing the requirement of the health department, because technically, according to the health code, you don't need to do anything to your health system.
Okay.
Or your septic system.
Mhm.
If you're adding a bedroom, absolutely,
Mhm.
you have to have health department approval. So. It seems to me that they're wanting it in. 140-17-3. Okay, it's stated in 140-17-3 somewhere, is what she alludes to. And they also want it somewhere else in the code. Unless she's talking about the existing code. I was a little confused by it,
Okay.
but health department regulations are required when they're required, period.
Mhm.
Does it have to be stated in here? No, it doesn't. Unless the health code changes.
I look at it as like, it's already required if they're gonna be adding more bedrooms.
Mhm.
And if they're not adding more bedrooms, then the code officer can say, okay, the net number of bedrooms are staying the same.
Mhm.
But if by adding it in there, it's one more thing that they have to do, one more hurdle they have to jump over. And the goal of this was to try to, lower the bars, in my opinion, we're trying to make it as easy as possible.
Right.
And you know, every time you have to get anyone's approval, it's gonna slow it down and make it more complicated. That's just my concern.
Mhm.
And if it's already required, if they're adding bedrooms,
But the thing is, honestly, it's already required, right? You know, you're covering the need for that law, which is making sure that you have the required system for adding that ADU. I mean, if the health system already covers that, and I don't see a problem.
and
So we're gonna leave it as written.
yeah, that would be my
That would
preference.
be my preference, yes. Mhm.
Second, the planning board agrees that there should be only one front entrance and that any new entrances for ADUs be located on the side or rear of the structure. But thought that an ADU should have the option of sharing a front entrance with the principal dwelling unit. The planning board thus recommends that ADUs be permitted to share a front entrance with the principal dwelling. Stated differently, the planning board recommends that the proposed definition of ADU in section 140-17.1 be amended to eliminate the requirement for an ADU to have its own exterior entrance.
Now, would the fire code allow that?
It would, you know, it's,
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, if I'm renting an ADU and the only way in and out is to the entrance of the building of the people who are there, you don't have your own entrance and exit, that would make me very nervous, especially if you have pets. If you have, I mean, you have a dog.
sometimes the only way you can get an ADU and get the proper egress is to have an exit door.
Sure.
So,
I mean, I would just worry with a single entrance and that you're having more people living there. If there was an issue, maybe it is allowed under the fire code, but I would just be, if I were renting, I'd be nervous
I would
about
be
it.
very nervous about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that for me would be a, you know, one of a big no check for being able to have a place. 'Cause-
so what you should note, okay, is that it says any new entrance. And that's the key word there is new, okay?
Mm.
Because in the past, and this has been a problem, the code required any ADU to have their own entrance and it also be on the side and the rear. Okay, so if you had a home, okay, and this has happened in the past where it has two doors in the front of the house because that's how it was built in 1940.
Mhm.
Okay, the planning board would make you move it. Okay, because of the way the law was written.
Yeah.
So here, it says any new entrance, so if there's already one there, it can remain.
Mhm.
Okay.
That
Yeah, that seems like,
I did on purpose,
yeah, no, that seems like a good plan.
because again, the purpose is to have this, you know, reachable for people to do, so the more you add.
Mhm.
You know, more requirements, the more you add, and you know, and it doesn't affect it. It just affects the way the building looks, but it already looks like that anyway. So.
I mean, we're saying, we're just gonna leave the code as it is, not make those changes for those two, and then the third is, the, planning board question, the type of concerns that may trigger the need for referral to the planning board under section 140-17.2 or 140-17.1, since the planning board would be applying the same ADU standards as the code enforcement officer. And then they said we could have it go to the ZBA, right? But that's,
The reason why we punted it to the planning board is because the planning board has the ability to parse out the issues. Okay?
Yeah.
The zoning board, they're not a planning board. Okay, it's yes, you can do it. No, you can't do it. Okay, so really, you want as little as possible to go to your ZBA.
because you can just say yes or no. They can't solve the problem by working with them. So I would, and the planning board has the experience and the knowledge to solve the problem versus just saying yes or no. So I would prefer that we keep it the way it is and it goes to the planning board, not the ZBA, because, and then if they still can't come to an agreement with the planning board, they can always go to the ZBA.
And I think this is kind of important that it remains with the planning board because you know, I had a lot of experience with specifically the town of New Paltz.
Mhm.
So I understood what some of the issues are and how they could be remedied, okay? I have retired and you have new code enforcement officials coming in. And they may lack that knowledge and that experience where our planning board would have that. And I think that's important. So if you have a code enforcement official that says, gee, I just don't know what
Mhm.
to do with this,
Mhm.
you punt it to the planning board. You know,
I think it's a good option.
I think that's a really good option.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one. All right, so. Good with that one.
Fourth, the planning board questioned how the owner occupied requirement would apply in the case of property owned by a corporation limited liability. They are considered the owners.
Mhm.
Okay.
Just like with the rental
I think they
registration,
just missed the,
same.
they just missed one of the definitions.
Yeah.
Um,
The owner occupancy, they're suggesting we be more flexible with that. I'm a little nervous about
Mhm.
that. I think that, you know, it has to be owner occupied. And that,
Yeah.
the person, just like we have with the rental registrations, they have to prove that they live there with, you know, their tax returns or something like that. That's all in the town code already.
Yeah.
And so it seems like we've addressed that.
they're talking about temporary absences for up to a period of 2 years.
I think somebody should live there. I really do, because then you end up having the same issue you have right now with Airbnb, since you have people, you know, coming in saying, oh, I own this, but they don't really live there.
Yeah,
And there's nobody to call and there's an issue.
I also think a lot of the issues we hear from renters are
Mhm.
related to the fact that someone else doesn't live there.
Exactly.
If your heat is off, you
Yeah.
live there too,
Right.
you're gonna fix the heat.
Yes.
yeah,
And you want to have somebody responsible for those things. When
Yeah.
doorbell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I'd like to keep it the way we have.
I would
agree.
too.
Strong.
Number 6, I think there's some confusion on this one. The length of residence required to establish owner occupancy should match New York State's time frame for establishing residency under the tax law. You know,
9 months. 2 months.
Well, no. There's some confusion in, I think, what each one means. I don't think we talk about residency, you know, I mean, as far as it being owner occupied, but I don't think the law says you have to live there for, you know, 3 years before you can have one.
yeah, no, we don't.
You just have to.
You just have to own it, and yet that has to be your legal residence.
So I think that, well, maybe they think that there should be maybe they think I shouldn't be able to move to New Paltz. I'm not really sure what, I'm not sure why this comment is here.
Mhm.
I'm a little confused
But the
by it.
incentive is this, okay, so you want somebody that comes into New Paltz, they're gonna buy a house and they're like, oh. Hey, my grandmother can live here too. So the whole incentive is that, it's the whole idea that you can build something else, or, you know, I have my, 40-year-old, whatever college or maybe college student who wants to come back and they want to live next to me. Why can't you have that as an option?
Yeah, I would be nervous putting some like limitation on it, because they say I'm buying a house, and while I'm having it redone before I move in,
I'm gonna
I mean,
build
at the same time, I want to have the
Exactly.
ADU made at the same time. I don't have to live there for a year or even 3 months or 90 days and then say, oh, now you can do
Right, I
construction.
agree with you,
Like,
yeah, but.
as long as you're then claiming that that's your residency,
Mhm.
you have to do that before you're allowed to rent it.
Yeah.
But not before you're allowed to do it.
So what they're saying is that New York State required, in order to be a resident, I think this may be what they're trying to say. In order to be considered a resident of New York State, you must live in the state more than 183 days, or at least 184 days
Of the year,
of the year.
okay, not in order, okay, I see what you mean, is that
So,
detail, yeah.
so I think what they're saying is that for it to be considered owner occupied, they think it should match the residency requirements
For the tax code.
for, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I see. So you're,
Somebody do the math, 9 months or 183 days, what's the difference?
9, 10,
That's 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not 180 days.
180 days, 6 months.
Yeah.
So again,
Mhm. So you build it
they're saying you only
You
have to
don't rent
live
it.
in the house for
6 months of a year
of
every
the year.
Oh. Also have.
to have, to claim that as your, but if you're still
To
claiming that
consider
as
it all,
your primary
consider
residence.
it, yeah, you're claiming it as your primary residence under the tax code,
Mhm.
because tax code says 184 days. And what they're saying is owner occupancy should be consistent with that. So in other words, you can live here for 6 months and 1 day,
Mhm.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
or 4 days, whatever it is,
Mhm.
and then you can live in another state
You go to
for
Florida for 6 months and still be renting.
the rest of the year.
Mhm.
Okay,
That's all.
however. They don't get to rent they still don't get to rent their dwelling. Cause now it's a 2-family. Or it's a, you know what I mean, it's not,
They need to
it's
live,
not an owner, right, it's not an owner, it's no longer owner occupied. When they rent that second, if you were to do that. You could, they can't rent their
Yeah,
particular unit. Because.
Yeah.
It's no longer owner occupied.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the idea is that it needs to be owned. Somebody needs.
So if you change this to match that, we should have Joe put something in here to clarify that.
yeah,
If you're somewhere else for 5 months, you don't,
you still can't rent it out.
Mhm. You can rent it out for the time. that you're there.
well, you can rent the accessory dwelling unit.
Right.
But you can't rent your unit,
You can't get it.
because now you have a non-owner occupied.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, it seems like that in some ways is that opening up a can of worms for us to not solving a problem, but opening it up.
It might,
I kind of feel like it is.
It is.
Yeah, I'm worried that it's
Yeah.
opening up, it's opening up a can of worms,
Right.
like, and people are gonna be like, well, I lived there for
Right.
6 months and 1 day,
Right.
and then I.
And then what's the enforcement
Right.
on any of
I
this,
think
by
that
the
should
way?
just be owned.
Like, how are you gonna actually be able to enforce that rule?
Yeah,
I mean, how many ADUs are gonna not be built because somebody had to move away?
Yeah, I'm not really
Yeah.
moved by
I'm not,
that
either.
argument.
Yeah,
okay,
I think it protects us too, as far as just keeping it steady with what the
Yeah.
point is of the ADU.
Yes,
Like the big
I
picture.
agree.
Yeah.
7th, the planning board recommends that the law eliminate the restrictions on maximum size of ADUs for ADUs proposed entirely within an existing 1-family dwelling that exists at the same time the law is enacted. Stated differently, the planning board recommends that the size restrictions, okay, that the ADU not contain greater than 45% of the total legally finished area of the principal dwelling unit, no more than 900 square feet, not apply for an ADU unit proposed entirely within an existing 1-family dwelling that exists at the time of local law is enacted. Once you hit 50%, now you're reclassified as a 2-family.
Mhm.
yes,
You've got to stay below the 50% mark.
Mhm.
yeah, that's kind of what I thought,
Mhm.
like, because we don't allow 2
Yeah,
families.
we don't want to family.
Right.
So we would
family
be,
two, right.
it would be conflicting with our other laws,
Mhm.
you know,
I mean, you could have there's still that percentage. Well, it's a percentage. So even though you could have a 2,400 square foot house,
Mhm.
let's say, a raised ranch.
Yeah.
1,200 upstairs, 1,200 downstairs.
Mhm.
Okay. Their proposal is the entire downstairs could be. Okay,
Because it's already existing.
an ADU because it's already existing and it's inside
Mhm.
the existing dwelling. But now you have a 2-family, clearly a 2-family,
Mhm.
2 equal parts. It's not considered an accessory dwelling unit. It's not considered an accessory dwelling unit under state code.
yes,
It's classified as a 2-family. For larger homes. Well, it's 45%, so the percentage goes up.
Mhm.
Okay, but there is a maximum of 900 square feet. How big do you want them to be? I mean, 900 square feet can easily accommodate a 2-bedroom
Yeah, we don't want.
dwelling unit.
But then you start getting too close to a 2-family.
So, you know, I mean, it's really up to you, you know, what you decide, but 900 square feet can, you know, comfortably.
I mean, these seem like they're pretty, what we're using for percentages and sizes are pretty standard for ADU laws.
It is.
Yeah, and so my preference is to kind of go with what is kind of the standard ADU and not change it too much.
Mhm.
But. You know, so. I don't know if
I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with keeping it at 45%.
Yeah.
and 900 square feet.
Eighth, the planning board was concerned with minimum 30-day rental term in section 140-17.6 was restrictive and suggested that this period be decreased to allow greater flexibility. Well, then the reason why that's in there is to prohibit short-term rentals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, if we change that, I think the county would then have an issue
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely.
with
Yeah.
this.
And it goes totally against what it is you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Defeats them.
Right, it defeats the whole point.
The fee requirements.
Well, yes, so each day the violation continues between the separate violation. May be prohibitive. That's how our current code reads.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's standard across all of our
It's-
violations.
It is standard across all of our violations.
Yeah.
And there is a recreation trust fund fee, okay,
Oh.
that is applied to all accessory dwelling units. And it currently sits at $1,000.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, it seems reasonable.
Yes. At a higher level for subdivisions and number of dwelling units, like if you were to build an apartment complex, it's 5,500.
Yeah.
And, you know, quite a few years ago, we felt that was prohibitive for accessory dwelling units, so the board had reduced that
Mhm.
to.
Yeah, no, I think that 1,000 seems reasonable because you are going to be adding more, you know, no matter who lives there,
Mhm.
you're going to be adding more use.
Yeah.
Right, and generally, because the ADUs are smaller, it's less people.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's, I mean, I think we should keep it the way it
I think we
is.
should keep it going.
So we're basically
We're going to eliminate.
we're gonna just leave the. I think we're voting to leave the law the way it was written based versus these comments.
In regards to the planning board.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, motion to not accept these comments. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So I will get together with Joe and we'll clarify language under.
The,
Under 140-17-3
Right.
H.
yeah, I think that's the only one.
Yes.
Right,
Right.
great, thanks.
And once that is done, then we can just kind of move ahead.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, we can ask Joe this, but I think because we're not making a lot of changes for this.
Yeah.
We probably don't need to, you know, hopefully send it back out and, you
I
know,
don't think it has to be sent back out. I mean, eventually the county, you have to send the county a decision or whatever.
response.
A response
Okay.
to what you did, but I
Mhm.
don't think it has to go back to county.
Mhm.
Nor do I think it has to go back to the planning board.
great.
Mhm.
But I think you have to leave the public hearing open until the change is made.
Yes, leave the
Oh,
public
yeah.
hearing open, and hopefully we can vote on this at our next meeting.
That would be great. It would be great, since we've made all these decisions and been so careful, it would be nice to have it implemented during the season where you can still build.
Yeah, it'd be nice to wrap it up,
Exactly.
because a lot of people have been reaching out.
Summer-
They're
summer-
waiting, they're waiting in the wings.
That's what I'm saying, it's like you still have August and you have September, October, it's a great building month. Which gives people incentive to say, okay, this
Yeah.
is a great time to start, so I'm very happy with that.
Well, thanks, Stacy.
Thanks so much.
And
You're
I would like to make a motion to go into executive session and invite Stacy to join us.
Yep,
Could I make
second.
one request, Stacy, for scheduling purposes? I have a half hours. Attorney coming in here at 8:20. New Paltz Police have in their custody a person who is in need of an arraignment. And I'm wondering if we time it just right, like if you have one or two things that would take 6-7 minutes. I can thread that needle while you.
Sure.
The board is in executive session.
Happy to
Maybe
do
10 minutes, I can handle something on the bench, that would really be great.
Just looking at our agenda here.
Do you mind waiting, Stacy, for a few minutes?
Do we want to
So
just finish the agenda?
we'll go through and then we'll go into executive session. I didn't want to make Stacy wait, but we'll do that.
No, that's fine.
Although an arraignment would liven up the meeting, though, if you wanted to do it
I'll
together.
turn the camera off. So,
Yeah.
Keep going.
Bring it in.
Yeah, that's good.
One way or the other.
All right,
make a motion to approve and authorize items 5A through 5E on the consent agenda.
second, do
All in favor?
Aye.
you want to bundle these?
So. Number 6 and 7, authorization to approve the separation of employment of Isabel Iannucci and authorization to hire Jennifer McKira as part-time clerk at a rate of $21 an hour. Ranging 18 to 24 hours a week, not to exceed 29 hours a week, start date of July 24th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the cleaning bids, and everyone had a chance to look at the cleaning bids
Mhm.
from before.
Yeah.
Just to point out, the issue is, we go look at them, not all of them signed the, what is this? So the lowest bid of the person who signed the, what is this, we're not allowed to accept bids. What is this thing called? Non-collusive bidding certification.
Mhm.
And so they have to sign this under the rules that they didn't
Mhm.
collaborate or do anything
Right.
wrong. And so the low bid of the people that signed this agreement is the what is it, the one that we were looking at before.
Mhm.
So I gotta find my agenda now. The Vanguard cleaning. And so the motion would be to accept the bid from Vanguard Cleaning because they
Mhm.
signed all the required paperwork and they had the logo.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So number 9 is authorize increase in adopted 2023 budget for the use of unanticipated revenues.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And along those lines, we did receive a grant from the county
Yeah.
for $100,000 that we're gonna be able to help offset some of the increased costs for
Congratulations.
NUW with that. So,
Fantastic. That was good to read.
And then number 10 is motion to authorize the hiring of Thomas Bernard as Lou Ostrowski's replacement by a voucher from the B Fund and build a village of New Paltz for half the cost for the seasons of watering the flowers at a rate of $15 an hour with a 3-hour day.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the hiring of Kaylee Marquardt as part-time dispatcher effective July 24th, 2023 at the rate outlined in the collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And motion to authorize the signing of the transportation agreement with the New Paltz Central School District.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And motion to authorize payment of CDE electric pay application number 6 in the amount of $18,188.70 for phase 3 backup water supply.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Phoenix has some, because we haven't hired someone.
Yeah.
They would like to use some of that money to hire 2 people to help out with painting.
Mhm.
And so this is a motion to authorize Community Wellness Department to utilize a portion of unused funds within the department personnel line to hire 2 local artists to assist with creating numerous components, winter carnival, things like that, $20 an hour.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the July warrant of $764,570.37.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And
Hey, Judge, do you need us to break this out too before, or you're fine with?
No, you can leave that like that.
Okay.
And, yeah.
I'm gonna turn the camera off.
Our public access views might go up if we start live streaming.
I can't imagine
Beauty is
that.
popular for a reason.
Exactly.
Is it hard for you guys to turn it back on?
No,
No, are we gonna have
Yeah,
any?
turn it off.
So, I guess we don't have action, so. Okay, for everyone, the arraignment is for Terrence.
motion to go into executive session and to bring Stacy in with us.
The truth comes out.
All in favor?
Thank you all.
He's not even gonna cover the meeting at all.
Was in town talking to. About it and meeting. It's none of my business with them. I look at it as business. Look, I could bring money in from other places. I could increase your salary. But you're not gonna just walk out because we own part of the ambulances. We don't own the building. I mean, it's crazy in the sense that, I mean, you spent here 50 years. I remember it was in the college and I used to go help drive the van. EMS, where it's that now. Oh, it's crazy. $15 for somebody who's gonna get paid that. You know, it's that seat right there. The public penalty figures. That's it. You run away and relax.
All right. These two come to work. Easy. Court officer. I thought it would be funny.
You're funny. I was on my way up. I moved that fast. I used to.
Move that fast. I've never done that before. I thought it was funny. I knew Terrence would get a kick out of it.
When I hit your mailbox this winter, I want to laugh.
Yep.
Very busy week.
It's on deck.
An extremely busy week. We're short two guys, so I'm running between water problems, paving problems. Lift station blew up. And I work in there.
Oh, yeah.
That's just nonstop.
And yet you have time to come here.
Wind down time. It's getting you away from the honey-do list. She had a problem with her internet, so. I'll see you guys there. Have a good one. Take care.
You're all set. Jeremiah. He's got him, yeah, and you know what?
I don't know.
If you're walking out there, sneak a peek, if you, I mean, you know Joey, right?
Yeah, is he here?
He said he was in the parking lot. I just texted him back and then. And the phone went to voicemail, which is weird.
He's in the building.
There we go. Good. All right, Joey. Right there waiting for you.
What do you got?
Oh, I think he has papers for you also, Officer Childs. It's just a domestic, let's see, it is attempted assault second. And then a reckless endangerment. So he should have copies in there.
Does he have a rap sheet in there too?
No, I think the wrap is clean. As near as I can tell, I think there might have been some old, like the end of it indicated like there was some old TOP stuff, but I think that was probably family court. That's my
And
guess.
is there an order of protection
No orders of protection right now, but there is a request for one.
for stay away or non-harass?
Well, considering the circumstances, I'm gonna do it as a non-harass at best, but you know, we'll see what you would say, but it's like a 34-year-old son. I'm
Son
gonna
of his dad?
assume that he's living in his father's house. You know, might be time to spread your wings, but I don't know the details yet, so we'll see.
How many sons do you have?
I have 4.
And if they lived in your house till you were 34, you think you'd end up in a room with them?
I might be talking to you someday. So yes, we'll see what the deal is.
4 sons or 1 daughter?
Yeah, actually, it's worth 2.5. I've had people tell me. Officer Child, did you have paperwork for?
Yes.
Okay, good. That'll help us. Good, thank you. All right, and correct me if I'm wrong, was it a no harass or was there some sort of a hope for a full stay away at this juncture?
The victim request,
No harass,
order.
because I'm assuming that this is Dad's house.
Yes, it is. Yep.
You might want to consider maybe family court. I don't even know.
I asked him if he wanted to put an order of protection in place. He told me that he wanted a full stay away order, but I was like, if you are in the same house,
Yeah,
it's not really, you know.
I got a feeling that things are gonna, yeah, I'm inclined to. And I'm, you know, when you will transfer, if I do end up issuing the order of protection, which generally speaking, I'm reading this, I'm kind of inclined. But you know, the next step would be, you might want to start considering alternative residence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But we want to calm them down for now and hopefully. Doesn't sound like there was weapons involved, other than a stick, not a gun, not a knife. All right, good. All right, so we'll see how long they are gonna take.
Warm and sticky in here to everyone, or is it just me?
It's always warm and sticky in this building.
I just want to make sure it's not me.
That new building is already has complaints that say.
Well, they renovated, it's a
Oh, right, it was a warehouse.
It was, yeah, it was not a new building, this is
You're right, I
retro,
forgot
a
that.
retrofit.
Yeah,
Everything that's old.
There's a lot of sweat.
Everything else is brand new and $8 million worth.
but who's counting?
It still doesn't, I'm counting, still doesn't work.
I've heard
An
of
expert
tiles.
work.
Put it this way, the floor in here is still intact. I've
We
heard
fixed a
in
couple
other
of spots.
locations in the building, it may not quite still be. Keeping the tack on the.
Is it better than the community center?
No, community centers, let me put it this way. I took the old AC unit from the old police station. I Frankensteined it into the highway garage. And my guys can sit there and not sweat a bit and be cool.
Wow,
And it's from the 80s.
wow.
Old technology is great. And it works. This new stuff is for the birds. Don't get it. This stayed down, it's on concrete. Stairs, no more floor.
Yeah.
You have a nice smooth ride now on Henry DuBois? All those potholes, Mike?
A little better, yeah. And when he got the state guys to deal with the one across from my house, it's been there at least 15 years.
I need a lot of paperwork for state guys.
They patch it every couple of years. They did it this summer and it'll be a pothole again. Just, I was wondering how much maintenance on town vehicles alone, just driving over and hitting that thing. It's a big one.
I'm sure it does the lag shops, just give the office, or can you give the officer permission on couple?
Yeah, Officer Childs, you do not feel any concerns at the present time frame, right?
Yes.
Good, okay, and we have.
I just came from the gym, Judge. I'll kick everybody.
There you go, you're all pumped up. I just wanted to, I know reading some of it, sometimes there's some stuff in there that.
No,
there had been
I-
an issue.
I talked to him. I have more in common with him than probably any other.
There you go, all right, well, tell you what, let's figure out a place, we are getting the permission of the town board to get this over and done with, so we can, move
All right.
forward. So, if you wanna maybe spin a chair, Officer Jones, maybe
Yes.
you wanna spin a chair or two over there, out of the way, and that'll give Mr. Brewer a chance to have a seat, Mr. Brilliant can join him in a second. Yeah, any one of those chairs, let's spin them around.
These are his copies?
These will be his copies, yeah. I have original copy. I got a court date reminder sheets that you can have while I finish up a little bit of the securing order paperwork.
When is he due back and?
It'll be next week, next Wednesday, July 26th. You gonna be gone anywhere? Okay, good.
I can make.
Good.
You know, I've been appearing here how many years and I still don't know if the E goes before the I or after the.
I know, it's spelled wrong, as I tell everybody.
Wednesday, 7/26, 5:30.
It's fine. Yeah.
What's your cell number?
845-616-5021.
Can you do me a favor and just sign it, just saying about your cell phone, and that's of course contact. Right here.
Mr. Grillings, if you want to tell me when you guys are set.
We're all set.
All right, then I'm just go on the record.
Doing it in our.
I figured as much. All right, we are on the record. It is July 20, 2023. We are in the New Paltz Justice Court. I have in the court with me right now, Officer Childs from the New Paltz Police Department. He has in his custody Carmine Bruno. And I also have arranged the presence of Joey Drillings, who is appearing as a CAFA attorney through the Public Defender's Office program. And first off, I'm going to note that we are interrupting our town board's meeting. In fact, they were kind enough to alter their schedule of their meeting and go into executive session in the jury room outside of the main courtroom. So I'm going to be proceeding hopefully as expeditiously as possible. First and foremost, let me just mention, we are on the record. Mr. Bruno, you have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say could be used against you at another time. And we're on a recorded device. Another important right is the right to counsel. That is the reason that Mr. Drillings is here to assist you at this phase of the proceedings. It's called an arraignment. An arraignment is where you're made aware of the nature of the charges that were filed against you. Ultimately, you'll enter a plea in response to those charges. The court will have personal jurisdiction over you. We will also be addressing other types of preliminary matters. So, Mr. Drillings, at this juncture, I believe we have two charges. One was the allegation that there was an attempted assault second. The other is an allegation of a reckless endangerment of property. We want to proceed with a more formal public reading of the charges at this time.
Judge, I've discussed it with Mr. Bruno. I'm not sure that these will eventually be valid charges, but in the meantime, we would
enter a plea of not guilty, waive a reading. I've given him the court sheet for the next adjournment. I've given your honor the court sheet with his cell phone number.
I
I've also
appreciate that.
given Mr. Bruno the financial affidavit that he has to fill out before the next court date so that we can represent him. And at this point, I've explained to him, your honor is going to issue an order of protection. It's not the normal order of protection because he owns the residence and lives there with his family. He lets his son live there. I've explained to him that the non-harass basically means that he can have no physical or harassing contact with him. However, if he wants his son to leave, he has to go through normal landlord tenancy actions of eviction and et cetera, which he understands. He has to go
It
through.
depend, I would even suggest it may depend if there is an actual landlord-tenant relationship as opposed to a license, but that would be for him to pursue in
Absolutely, yeah,
in
just a
a
criminal-
different time and otherwise. But in the short term, I appreciate that and thank you for that. I know that there had been a request for a temporary order of protection, taking a look at the allegations in the charging instruments as well as the Westminster report. And because I do take domestic violence allegations seriously, I understand father, son, both are adults. That it is a unique circumstance. I'm gonna know for the record that Carmine Bruno is here in front of me and he appears very calm. And so my hope is that he understands that, hey, everything just needs to be ratcheted down. We will be back next Wednesday at my regular court night for further proceedings. But again, I also understand that this would be a unique circumstance with respect to a full stay away. I think that he may, the protected party, that would be Michael Bruno, the protected party, would have every right to vacate the residence and move out. So with that said, what I'm going to be doing is I will enter a temporary order of protection, but it is going to be a no harass only.
Judge, the one thing I would ask is the officer Child was here. You were the officer at the scene?
Yes, sir.
Did you notice any damage to the vehicle? Did you notice any injury to the individual? In fact, isn't it true you brought the individual to the hospital for non-physical issue?
So I
think.
yeah, that was one of my concerns was that, you know, there may be a cross complaint or the other side, it doesn't even sound like they're. That the defendant is necessarily interested in that relief. But I will, in an abundance of caution, be issuing a temporary order of protection. And so I'm going to ask Mr. Bruno, if you would please pay close attention. Because your failure to obey this order may subject you to a mandatory arrest and criminal prosecution, which may result in your incarceration for up to 7 years for contempt of court. This is a temporary order of protection, and if you fail to appear in court when you're required to do so, the order may be extended in your absence and then would continue in effect until a new court date is set. It is a temporary order of protection, and it is being
Should we do it all? Yeah.
Yes.
No actions taken, no blah, blah, blah.
So, motion to come out of executive session? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion to adjourn,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, everyone.
You know, if you could really.